What's up, guys? Today I'll be doing a comparison review between the Grant Pro boxing gloves and the Cleto Reyes boxing gloves. So stay tuned.
Uber up the styles like miles and shit. Like 60s funky worms with waves and perms. Just sending junkie.
What's up, guys? Carlo here, and today I'm going to be doing a comparison review between these 12-ounce Grant lace-up training gloves and these 16-ounce Cleto Reyes hook and loop training gloves. As you guys know, Grant and Reyes are pretty much the benchmark for Mexican-style boxing gloves. Both have been around for a very long time. I know that Grant has been around officially since the early 90s, and some of their very first fighters or pro fighters to actually use these gloves were like Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr. I believe the Klitschko brothers used these at some point in their career. Cleto Reyes has been around for a long time as well. They're pretty much well known, especially for their fight gloves. Fighters like Pacquiao, Morales, a lot of the Mexican style fighters that want that puncher's glove typically go with Reyes. Grant is usually known to be a little bit more protective. They have a little bit more proprietary, different type of multi-layer orthopedic foams they like to use in some of their custom gloves. Grants are also known to be a little bit harder to get a hold of. They're typically more expensive by a lot compared to Cleto Reyes. Their stock colored gloves, the black and red white gloves or the red black and white gloves, usually are about $425 to $450, and that's pretty much the starting point for the training gloves. I know their fight gloves are about $350, but nonetheless still pretty pricey. And then if you go on up, anything custom color like these right here, these black and orange are considered to be a custom color. You're looking at $500, $600, $700. I mean, some of their metallic gloves go all the way up into the thousands. So again, not for the faint of heart. Typically, if you're just an amateur or a beginner level boxer, this is something that you probably wouldn't divulge your money into. It just wouldn't make any sense. But then again, everybody's, your money's your money. So however you wish to spend your money, that's completely up to you, and that's your right to do so. But Grant definitely isn't for the faint of heart when it comes to price. Cleto Reyes, you can get these for about $170 to $200, depending on where you get it from, the vendor, as well as the size and color. So I know Reyes makes a limited amount of different colors, but they're not really known to make these fancy custom gloves like Grant is. Grant is kind of the pioneer of the custom glove look. They just recently came out with a triple patented design where they have a triple stripe. So they added a third stripe there and another stripe of a different color on the cuff. So again, Grant is definitely more of a boutique brand, and they actually back in the day 10 15 20 years ago didn't just sell boutique style gloves. They were a little bit more easier accessible. They actually sold gloves on ringside, if you guys remember that, back in the day, and the gloves I think were only like $200 at the time. But within the last 5, 6, 7 years, they've kind of came into becoming more of a boutique brand. A lot of pro fighters still use their gloves, but for the everyday gym goer, you typically don't see a lot of Grant gloves in the gym, just because mainly people either can't afford it or just they don't have the money to spend on expensive boxing gloves. Reyes, you can see, these are a little bit more frequent. You could definitely see these more common in the gyms, alongside with winning. Those are a little bit more common. Just because they're a little bit more affordable, obviously, than Grant. So Reyes is definitely one of those gloves that you see more frequently. So size-wise, it's not really I would say, exact comparison because the weights are a little different. This is 16, this is 12, but kind of gives you an idea. 16-ounce Grant's gloves are pretty huge. The 16 ounces that I used to have, I no longer have those gloves. I gave them away. Were actually huge. They were probably, that much longer, a lot wider. So my hand would scoot around in there quite a bit. And you can see that the 12 ounces is definitely a better size for somebody with medium hands. You can see the leather there. Both these gloves are made in Mexico. You can see that the Cleto Reyes has a tag where it's made. Both have really nice leather. I prefer the leather on the Cleto Reyes. I feel that the leather is probably some of the best leather you'll ever see in a boxing glove. These Grant leather gloves, the leather on here is very much like new sporting If you guys check out my review on the new sporting gloves, I still stand by that, where I think at some point they may or may not have made gloves for Grant, because both the stitching pattern and just the overall feel and cut of the glove is just like new sporting, except the price is a lot higher. But you can see that Grant uses the welted seam look that you find on a lot of Mexican style gloves, which helps typically with durability. You can see that Cleto Reyes doesn't do that, but both have really nice stitching. So to kind of give you guys a nice good close up there, you can see the stitching on both is really superb. Nothing loose. You can tell that whoever made both of these gloves really took their time. The Grant really has those nice welted seams. A little bit different thumb there. I feel that the thumb on the Grant is definitely more comfortable than Cleto Reyes. You can see that the finger compartment is definitely deeper in the Reyes. So the Reyes gives you much more of a pre-curved fist. When you put your hand in here, your hand is already in a curved position, where the Grants are a little bit more broken in and gives you a little bit more flexibility with parrying shots. I feel that with Grant, I can really make an excellent fist. I can really turn my hand and roll it over to make a great fist inside the Grant gloves. Reyes takes a lot more breaking in my opinion. Both have a nice grip bar. Both have some ventilation. The one on here for the Grant, you can see it's just on the thumb. There's no ventilation on the actual palm, where Reyes uses ventilation both on the palm and on the inside thumb. Leather quality, you can see that these Grants are a little bit more dull. They're not as shiny. They have a little bit more of a, an eggshell, more of a matte look to it, where the Reyes gloves definitely have a nice shine. And I believe Reyes uses that goat skin leather, or the goat hide. So you can see right there just how nice of a sheen it is. And I also believe that Reyes uses a water repellent spray on here to help with the moisture from your sweat. So you can see just the craftsmanship on the Reyes is really nice, as well as the Grant. You can see the stitching on both look really good. Again, the thumb I prefer on the Grant. It's less awkward than the Reyes glove. You can see both logos are screen printed on the back right there. The Grant uses a canvas style inner liner. You can see there. And it also has the tags, the Made in Mexico tag with the Grant tag. The Cleto Reyes uses a kind of a satin polyester liner on the inside, which feels more lightweight. These are the Velcro versions, but I feel that both have a good amount of wrist support. You can see there that both have a nice level of wrist support. You can see that they use some kind of, I would say it's kind of, I don't know if that's latex or some kind of foam they use inside here. It might just be horsehair that they just really bunch up really nice and dense and put inside the wrist, but both use a good amount of wrist support. So if you're looking for wrist support, both gloves will do nicely for you. And then looking at the actual punch surface profile of both gloves, you can see that width-wise they're pretty similar. They both have a very similar width, maybe a little bit more on the Reyes. But again, the Reyes this one is 16, so it's a little bit of a larger glove. And then the actual curvature, you can see, very similar as well. Kind of flattens out midway through the knuckle. Same thing with the Reyes, it's not completely round. You have a little bit more of a flatter punching surface with the Cleto Reyes glove as well. So you can see the punching surface there. And then the back profile, again, you can see the actual thickness of the wrist support on both. And the Reyes is really thick there. You can see it's a little bit thicker than the Grant. So overall, fantastic gloves. Both of these very well made. I wouldn't expect less from these two gigantic names in the boxing world, both Cleto Reyes and Grant. However, it really just boils down to your budget. A lot of people will say, well, Grants are way overpriced, and not really many people will want to spend money on $600 on a pair of gloves, which again I can totally agree with. It just, again, it depends on your budget. Some people are willing to spend $300 on a pair of jeans, and some people think that's ridiculous. They'd rather just go to Target and get themselves a $20 pair of jeans. So, apples to oranges, just depends on your budget. As far as the actual performance of the gloves go, I prefer Grant for me personally because I feel like I make a better fist. The hand compartment's more comfortable in the Reyes, and I do like the feedback of the padding. It's a little bit more protective than the Reyes padding. Where the padding on the Reyes is more feedback oriented. With the Grant, you get a little bit of both. So the Grants are kind of in between Reyes and Winning. So if with Winning gloves, it's kind of the middle road between Grant, or should I say the Grant is kind of in between the Winning and the Reyes glove. So it's right in the middle in terms of padding. So a lot of people like the feature of the Grant because of that. You kind of get the best of both worlds. And then obviously price-wise, the racers are going to be much more affordable, easier to get. Where Grants, if they don't have them in stock, you're going to wait a couple of months to get yourself a pair. The other thing is getting a pair of Grants. Now you have to reach out to them through their sales at Grant Worldwide email address. From interacting with them, sometimes it takes a few days, if not a couple of weeks, for them to get back to you. I found that they have gotten back to me when I've ordered stuff from them, but sometimes it just takes a while. So the communication could definitely be improved. They still don't have a website. They only sell through both their email and their eBay. So the only official store that Grant has currently is their official eBay store. Just be very careful not to buy those Grant knockoffs on eBay because there's a lot of them. So just buy directly from their Grant Worldwide eBay store if you're looking for authentic Grant gloves. Otherwise, you might get duped into getting some fakes and paying the same price for authentics. Where Reyes, again, like I said earlier, a lot more easier to find. You can get them, Title and Ringside sells Reyes. Pretty much every major boxing brand sells Reyes, and it's pretty easily to find. Amazon, eBay. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of these Grant and Cleto Reyes training gloves. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find both of these gloves. If you guys have any comments, make sure you guys leave them down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.